let me just say, this is an abject disaster. Abject disaster for the President of the United States.
What's that you say? An abject disaster for the President of the United States? Well, there is such a long list of things that could be talking about. But since I just started back to school shopping for my high schooler, I unfortunately have a pretty good idea what it's about. And myself, along with a whole bunch of other American parents, are none too pleased. And apparently, it is finally starting to show up in some polling. And I have to wonder, this is me wondering, is this the issue that can help us win the midterm elections next year? Because we need one. Hit subscribe to Really American Media and let's unpack it all like a school bag before the Trump administration claims that the dog ate their financial numbers. That's assuming they even keep putting out financial numbers. And let me just start with something that has been bothering me for a while now. I've been a big Bill Maher fan for many years, but he seems to be aging into conservatism with his now frequent placation of Trump with issues like this one.
I remember along with probably most people, was saying at the beginning, oh, by the 4th of July, somebody had to think how the country was, the economy was going to be tanked by then. And I was kind of like, well, that seems right to me, but that didn't happen. Now, it could happen tomorrow. I'm just saying that's reality. So let's work first from the reality of that, not from I just hate Donald Trump. Because that's boring and doesn't get us anywhere.
All right. Now, first of all, starting with I hate Donald Trump is not boring. It's a sad reality for so many of us, and it gets us to a little place we call accountability. Trump is running a FAFO presidency, and while he's been fucking around, the rest of us are starting to find out. And Bill Maher got way out over his skis with his economic observations of a millionaire like he is. Economies don't implode that quickly, and our taco president has been giving us all whiplash. Wall Street has actually started to ignore his tariff threats because we all know we can't take him at his word. So they're waiting for real data, like real consequences. And the companies that have been absorbing the cost of these tariffs, they're not going to do that forever. And like I said, any parents doing back to school shopping right now are seeing all of this in real time, even as the White House tries to downplay the new inflation report that shows consumer prices going on up.
They're touting this inflation report as good news for back to school shoppers. Is that what you see?
Well, look at what we're seeing in the aisles of stores on key back to school items. You're seeing things like backpacks, pencils, sports equipment for kids to play soccer going way up.
Yes, I'm starting to see the same thing. And by the way, I'm all for capitalism. I will actually quote Bill Maher from before his early onset conservatism started to kick in, when he said the capitalism is like a river. It's a good thing, but without dams and levees to keep it under control, it'll wipe out entire towns. And right now, capitalists know that Trump would never clamp down on them. So bullshit like this is starting to happen.
And here's what I'm worried about. You're going to see all sorts of companies jack up prices, even if their products are not even subject to the tariffs, because they think they can get away with it. And Americans already have $1.2 trillion in credit card debt, interest rates 25, 26%. A lot of Americans are going to charge up more, and they will pay dearly.
Yeah, Trump has created a smokescreen where prices will go up, and it's going to be hard to tell if it's because of tariffs or if we're just being taken advantage of. But does it matter? Trump is to blame either way. So what can the parents of America expect from back to school shopping with inflation ticking up along with consumer prices?
The National Retail Federation estimates for the average family that has kids in school, they will spend $900 more this year just to get supplies. A lot of folks did buy supplies early because they were hoping to avoid seeing some of these upcharges. But what are they supposed to do?
A lot of them are going to rack up more debt.
An extra $900 for back to school time. That is a lesson in economics that no parent wants to learn or live through. Thanks, Trump. And MSNBC's Chris Jansen, she then brings up a great point on this topic.
And that there are a lot of teachers out there who work in school districts where kids don't have money for a pencil. They don't have money for a notebook or 64 Crayola crayons. And they have long been supplementing these kids by buying stuff with money out of their own pockets. How can they do that? How can they continue to do that with these prices?
Yeah, that's a great question with a terrible answer. They can't, not without literally paying the price and having it ripple into their own lives. If they spend more on their students, they spend less on their own families, which means consumer spending will fall as prices go up. And over on CNN, new data out today is painting that exact picture.
This morning, new data showing the inflation is holding steady, but a broader look shows prices did rise on a wide array of products, showing that President Trump's tariffs are being passed along to consumers. So the question is, how do Americans feel about Trump's handling of inflation?
Well, that's another great question, and I'm guessing the answer is they don't like it. So, what does this mean for King Trump?
Let me just say, this is an abject disaster. Abject disaster for the President of the United States.
Well, you had me at abject disaster for the president. Please, go on.
He won the 2024 election because he was more entrusted on inflation than Kamala Harris was, led by a margin of 9 points. Look at where his net approval stands today, though, on inflation. My goodness gracious. Into the gutter we go, underwater we go. He's 25 points underwater. My goodness gracious. That is where the Little Mermaid is, and he is matching the Little Mermaid. That's how far underwater he is on the issue that got him elected. He led on by 9 points on it last year, and now he's 25 points underwater. As I said, this is a complete and total disaster for the President of the United States.
Well, wow, yeah, that's bad news for consumers and hopefully even worse news for Trump, which is a mixed blessing for all of us. But his poll numbers are so far underwater that they're down with the Little Mermaid, as Harry said. And although I'm not surprised to hear that longtime Epstein buddy Donald Trump is hanging out with underage girls like Ariel, it still makes me sad. I don't know, I wish there was a more upbeat way to say how low those numbers are.
Under the sea, under the sea.
Yeah, no, that did not help. It just makes me feel crabby. And I only made that joke to prove that I really am a dad. So anyway, things are getting worse for the economy, but surely there's got to be a silver lining out there, at least for us left-leaning types.
So let's look ahead to 2026 when a lot of all the House Republicans, some senators going to be on the ballot. How is that shaping up?
Yeah, if Republicans in Congress think that they can escape the wrath of the voters when it comes to inflation, I have a bit of a rude awakening for them. Trust which party more on inflation? You go back to the 2022 midterms, look at this. Republicans led by 13 points on which party was more trusted in inflation. Look at where we are now. Nearly a 15-point shift in the Democrats' direction. It's within the margin of error, but the Democrats up by a point. This just looks totally different from where we were back in 2022 when, of course, Republicans took back the House. That's what Democrats are trying to do this time around, looking much better for them.
All right, so things are finally looking better for Democrats, and it only cost us our money and our democracy. But don't be a poll tease. Give our wrath a little more context.
The bottom line is the wrath that the voters feel for Donald Trump and inflation is transferring over to House Republicans and now Democrats, although it's a small lead, a big difference from where we were back in October of 2022, with Democrats actually in the positive and Republicans in the negative. Very much the reverse of where we were just 3 years ago.
Ah, yes, the political pendulum will always swing the other way, which MAGA world seems to forget on a daily basis. But the big question remains, do people actually still care about inflation? Because if we're pinning our hopes on taking down Trump with it, the answer needs to be an overwhelming yes.
And so how do voters feel about inflation in terms of where it ranks, what kind of priority it is for them?
Right. So we started off this segment by saying that inflation was the reason that Donald Trump was elected. It was the most important issue for the voters back last year at this point. And look at where we are today. What is the top issue for you right now? It's a runaway. It's inflation. It's 34% compared to the economy, which is basically very similar at 16%, Medicare and Social Security at 14%. But the bottom line is voters in poll after poll after poll say that Donald Trump has taken his eye off the ball, off the big issue of the day, which is inflation. And that is why Donald Trump is way underwater on this issue. And it's why Democrats have caught up to Republicans on the all-important issue of inflation. I can guarantee you this, Jessica, if these numbers look right now like they do, or will look on Election Day 2026, there is no way on God's green earth that Republicans can hold on to the House of Representatives. These numbers, as I said, an abject disaster.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me get my supplies out. Can you repeat that?
There is no way on God's green earth that Republicans can hold on to the House of Representatives. These numbers, as I said, an abject disaster.
Well, all right. That poll felt amazing. Was it good for you? And remember, kids, don't smoke chapstick. It's kind of pointless, and I'm betting it doesn't look cool. But anyway, fellow Trump haters, keep the faith, as Trump might be our president for another 3 years and some change, if he lives that long, of natural causes I'm referencing. But we have a chance to stop him next year by taking the House back, and we've got to do that. So keep paying attention, because the cost of paying attention is the only thing that is not going up, unless you count the cost of your soul. So please like this video, comment below, and get vocal. From the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve podcast, which is totally free to you and available everywhere you get podcasts, including right here on this YouTube channel. I'm Steve Harness for Really American Media.